Hey, this is Jason Bradley from the Community Solutions Podcast. And before we start today's podcast, I just want to take a moment and talk to you because we are neck deep in election season and people are getting their campaigns into full swing. And we wouldn't have it any other way than having you out there in the community meeting your neighbors and growing Team 20K. You know what, though? Some of you out there I know could use a little extra bump, whether that's some strategy, whether that's learning how to read a comprehensive annual financial report, whether that is understanding your city's comprehensive plan. We're here for you. So get a hold of us, and we would love to sit down for a consulting session with you. Nobody else in Minnesota does this at the local level. All you got to do is reach out to us at commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. That is commsolutionsmn@gmail.com, and we will sure make your campaign competitive. All right, enough of my yapping, and back to the show. I've had every promise broken. There's anger in my heart. You don't know what it's like. You don't have a clue. If you did, you'd find yourselves doing the same thing too. Breaking the law, breaking the law. This is the Community Solutions Podcast. Back for another fantastic week. Breaking stuff, taking charge. Jason Bradley, Andrew Richter. How you doing?
I'm doing terrific. Of course, I don't know the song title. Of course, would you enlighten me and educate me in my history of music?
Yes, that is Breaking the Law.
Well, I guess
Judas
that.
Priest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I've heard of them.
Okay.
Sure, it's kind of like Flight of the Navigator when they brought up Twisted Sister. I never heard of her.
What? You never heard of Twisted Sister?
No. The kid says it.
Oh, I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Watched it with my nephew not too long
ago. Yeah. Last time I watched it, it was with my kids.
Yeah.
So it was a long time ago.
With Max. Hey, what's that in the geek's car?
Oh, I love those old movies. John Hughes and
John Hughes, the best. Because any John Hughes movie, whether it's The Breakfast Club or it's Pretty in Pink or those St. Elmo's Fire, those teenage kind of coming of age movies, or whatever that he was very famous for. The guy had a pulse on casting. He had a pulse on teenage life. Unfortunately, he's since passed on.
Right.
In every movie he does based out of Chicago, just remember that. If there's a Chicago movie, John Hughes probably made it. Ferris Bueller, Home Alone. You name it.
Both of those are fantastic movies. I've probably seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off more times than...
My favorite part, just to throw this out there, is when the sister from Dirty Dancing, I can't remember her real name. Jennifer Grey, that's it, kicks Mr. Rooney, the guy from Red October, kicks him.
That's pretty good. That's not bad, that part.
Like Charlie Sheen's role in it, too. That was cool. So good movie all around. I always looked for Save Ferris on a water tower.
Yeah? Oh, it was good. Oh, boy. That was it's a lot better than our subjects for today, however. And henceforth, the song Breaking the Law, I felt it was only proper. We're going to get into a couple of people here that...
and the final subject, too, probably should be.
Yeah, that's true. You're the victims of highway robbery if you live in New Hope. Oh. But why don't we start with... let me start it off this way. I believe that America is a country that we should be innocent until proven guilty, and I think that we have gone backwards from that, and oftentimes we are guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah.
Where I have some problem I have problems with the inconsistencies where we've made everything political. And if you are of one political party and you identify with that political party, your guy can do just about anything, or your gal can do just about anything, and it's okay. But you're going to excoriate the people from the opposite party that do the same thing. And there is really no call for that whatsoever.
Yeah, and I would add to it that it's not only become political, but it's become an issue of there's one thing that happens in the political arena. There's something that happens in the legal arena. The two things are different, and I think we've seen that on both. Just to set the stage here, we're talking about Keith Ellison. We're talking about actually, it's kind of the first two things we're talking about.
We got two things for you, yes,
but we want to pick up on the primary discussion that we had about the primary results and how wrong some people on the show were on a couple of races. We won't get into that.
Neither here nor there. Yeah. You can listen to the last episode to get filled in on that. Yeah. And the episode before where those predictions happened.
You want to hear my shame. Anyhow, Mr. Ellison has been accused. I say accused. Now, again, there's a political aspect to this, and there is a legal aspect to this.
Right.
My problem is he's been accused of abuse, a lot of verbal abuse, of all sorts of things by his former live-in girlfriend.
Yes.
So it is of what he did or whatever, and I don't know what happened. To me, that's for a court to figure out. To me, this is the problem I've got. I'm just not going to babble about the legal ramifications. Just get into the political for a minute. The Star Tribune, which has championed the Me Too people and women can't be afraid, and they ought to go out and dig. If something happened to you 40 years ago, you ought to come out and name that guy or whatever who gave you a little pat in the wrong place or whatever. I'm not making light of it. I'm saying the second one of their people is accused, their tune changes.
Yes.
Now all of a sudden they put out an op-ed. The title of it is "Still Seeking the Truth About the Allegations Against Ellison." The paper isn't interested in investigating it. You can tell that.
Right.
And allegations against Mr. Ellison were there a long time ago. They've kind of just resurfaced because his profile his lust for power has increased. And he is now the candidate for Attorney General. You could argue the favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue that. Now, basically what they say in this article is that his ex-girlfriend is saying, look, I don't want to I have video of something. I don't want to publish it. I don't want to set a standard that every victim has to have a video. I don't want blah, 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 whatever. And I think to bring up a video and then not show it is there's some inconsistency with that. But let me tell you something. For the Star Tribune to call for a video to be released or an accuser can't be believed, which is basically what they say. Now, they don't say it in those words in this article, but that's what they imply. Now, Jay, if that's the case, we got to let 99.99% of people out of prison right now. Because you think about it like this. How many rape cases, murder cases, abuse cases, kidnapping cases, even breaking and entering, even with all the cameras and stuff today, how many of them have video evidence? Let me tell you, if there were video evidence, we'd have no trials. All right? Why would we have a trial if there's a video of me going in, stealing money at a bank, waving to the camera, and leaving?
Well, there would be. Everybody deserves a trial, but you...
right.
Yeah.
You have the right to confront your accusers.
Yeah.
But the conviction rate would be a little different.
Yes, it would. You have to look at all the facts. You have to talk to material witnesses. You have to, I mean, there's
credibility.
Yeah. I mean, there's a number of things that go into a trial. It's not having a video, or nobody would have ever been indicted on anything prior to, 1900?
Well, or even, video cameras, cell phones.
Yeah.
I mean, they existed, but it's not like they were in everybody's house.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. So, I mean, for that to happen and to basically say, now, again, I want to say something, too. I mean, sex scandals and stuff like that have affected people from both parties everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Democrats, too. You go back to Gary Hart, Jim McGreevey, Elliot Spitzer.
Grunseth.
Yeah. Well, he's a Republican, but yeah.
Well, still it happens.
Everybody
happens
in the pool.
across the board.
Al Franken most recently, Roy Moore faced his problems in a seat that should have been won by 20 points.
Yeah.
So, but this is more serious than hey, I might have played footsie with somebody 15 years ago, or hey, I had something going on the side because the wife maybe sleep on the couch. Okay, whatever. That's a different issue than an allegation of abuse.
Right.
So it should set a higher standard, not a lower standard.
Mm-hmm.
So what's at play here? I mean, is it just that he's a lefty? Because I think there's more at play than that. Because it's going to get into our second subject of why certain people keep getting protected by the mainstream media here in Minnesota.
Right, and I think there is there's an element of there being more to the story. I think there is also just an element of this happening on that side of the aisle, because a lot of the people that rose up into the Me Too movement happen to be on that side. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with the whole Asia Argento story, who was...
I heard of it, but I don't know the details.
She was one of the early pioneers of the Me Too story, and it turns out that she, she hasn't gone to court yet, but apparently there's pretty big evidence that she has had relations with somebody that was underage, and paid them off.
Oh, really?
Yes. And everybody wants to give her a pass, and, it was one thing, although, Harvey Weinstein was no righty either, but,
right.
But she was in on that case when she was part of the Harvey Weinstein thing. And
it's a regular Mary Letourneau.
So, but now that, I think at the beginning they wanted, I think there was a lot of honesty in it. I think that it started to get out of control a little bit with, a man did something, we need to throw the book at him without any judge or jury looking at it.
Dead people being accused of things.
Yeah, because and I'm sorry, it came out, Al Franken was he did some wrong things, but he never got to face his day in court before having to step down. He was pretty much run out with pitchforks. And,
again, there's a political element to it, and there's a legal element.
Right.
Here's why Al Franken got run out. Pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Pictures, he'd be there.
Yeah.
With the pictures, he couldn't hide anymore.
That's when things started to turn, and people were like, "Oh, he needs to leave." But it took a while for them to be convinced that he needed to leave, and then does he really need to go? And then he's still like, "I haven't ruled out getting back into politics."
Yeah, and I would add something to it. Without that Roy Moore election going on, Franken would still be there.
Probably.
It was all to make that a national thing.
Right.
So, I don't think he'd be run out if that were the case. So I think it's, again, I mean, I just, you can't champion women coming out, and it's hard to separate what's real and what's not. I mean, an accusation shouldn't make you guilty.
No.
At the same time, this is a lot more serious than... this is much worse than what Al Franken did, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
What Franken did was wrong, but this is worse.
I don't know.
To me is,
physical
abuse is a step above harassment in my book.
Okay.
But they're both on the bad scale.
Yeah.
But
Well,
there's a hierarchy of evil when it comes to committing
harassment
crimes.
is probably less than abuse, but if you cross that line into unwanted physical contact, I think that crosses the harassment
abuse.
line into
abuse. That is a form of abuse too.
Yeah,
and he's being accused of verbal abuse, which is something where I have a little bit of a hard time of what's loudly arguing verbal abuse. I mean, to me, verbal abuse is calling people the B word, the C word, or just verbally running somebody into the ground every day and making them feel worthless. True, but arguing about what new couch to buy is not verbal abuse. So
it's not.
We just have to have some standard of what that is. But I think there's something even more, because it ties into the next thing, is that it seems like there's also a race standard going on.
Yeah.
That Star Tribune will investigate nothing about Islam whatsoever. I mean,
True.
Absolutely nothing whatsoever. You read this article, and there is no desire to investigate the truth here. The burden is on the victim, to produce evidence. There's no, but like I've said before, you've seen Democrats be taken down by scandals where there's no video, there's no, there's no,
but here they're demanding one.
I mean,
that's
basically saying the victim can't be believed without video, and but there is a lack of. And there's been this with Keith Ellison the entire time he's been in office. There has been a lack of people investigating his ties to Louis Farrakhan, his ties to CARE. Nobody bothers, nobody questions Ellison on it at all. He saw that meatball softball interview he had with somebody, I don't even remember her name, who interviewed. I don't care. I don't want to give that person any props.
Right.
But, I mean, is there a race-religion aspect? If this were a Bible-thumping Christian, if Ellison was, if he was Gary Bauer, there'd be a different standard of going after him.
Yeah.
And granted, maybe if you're going to play the moral high ground, you're setting yourself up for that. But I am. There is just, what is this hands off of Ellison? There's always been this fear of.
Well, and I hate to propagate rumors, but I mean, there are some people out there who do say that the whole reason he decided to step down from CD5, he had a seat for life if he wanted it, to run for the AG position, was this whole suitcases full of cash deal.
Yeah, the daycare.
And again, you talk about the Star Tribune not wanting to report on stuff. I'm not saying they didn't, but if you're to Google suitcases of cash, MN, I mean, it comes up Fox 9. Top one is IsaiahMinnesota.org. Next one is Fox 9.
Alpha News.
Some other ILCM.org.
It's the alternative media that's been reporting.
Insight News, American Experiment,
that's
American Thinker, World Net Daily, and then we're into page 2.
And the Star Tribune is...
That should be trending
there.
Really high. Yeah. And again, at page 2, I don't see anything from the Star Tribune. So, yeah, that should be trending really high, but it's not. So there might be some validity to what you're saying, just a little spot checking right there. But that's true across the board. I mean, you look at the issue, and I don't want to get into, race politics or any of that kind of stuff, or Islam's not a race, but even religion-fueled politics. I get what you're saying, but as we'll see in the next person we're going to talk about, when your defense is that your accusers are racist, right, and that's why it doesn't get reported on.
Right,
lot.
Because people are afraid to be called Islamophobes. They're afraid to be called names. They're afraid of that issue coming up to bite them in the arse. I mean, it is become common defense now for people who be accused of something who are Actually, it's become common for an entire political party.
Yeah,
to make
if you are a protected class.
Yeah, whether that's gays, whether that's
being an illegal,
you name it, illegal alien,
yeah.
which is no, it's an undocumented worker.
Well, you can say that.
I don't say it. No, you're right. There's a protected class of people that can't be criticized regardless of what they do. And I think Ellison is, for some reason, in that boat. Now, I still sit here. What's happened over the last couple of years that has led this guy to rise in politics? I mean, how did he become a candidate for the DNC chair overnight? And he is the deputy.
He is. Well, Tom Perez, I don't think, is that far right of Keith Ellison.
So either.
Because, I mean, he's saying that, this is the face of the party. This is where we're headed, is toward democratic socialism.
Toward socialism and toward making... I think we're heading towards dividing the country permanently about race. Permanently.
Mm-hmm.
Just beyond anything you can get to. But that leads us into our sex. So I guess Keith Ellison, if there's no video, you're off the hook. Nobody's going to... Star Tribune's not going to do anything. Then
that's true.
Leads into our second thing. Jay, you're in CD5.
Oh, stop reminding me.
Yeah, and I remind myself every day that I am not there anymore. Now, I had to live under Keith Ellison and Martin Sabo long enough. I long for Martin Sabo at this point.
Yeah.
But we talked last week about Ilhan Omar winning the primary, and that was another race I got wrong.
Yeah.
And it won it by a bigger margin than I thought she would. I'm not surprised she won, but I am surprised at the margin.
Right.
Some interesting things about her have popped up.
Yeah, well, and this goes to a really, skewed political source called the Minnesota House of Representatives. Yeah,
that right-wing St. Paul think tank.
Yeah, right.
What's going on at the Capitol, Jay?
Well, Representative Steve Drazkowski has an ongoing investigation into Representative Omar and finds more violations of House rules and state law.
So she's going to get promoted to Congress then?
Well, why not?
Now, what are these? Because I think people don't understand what a legislator can and can't do. Mm-hmm. There's certain places they can't take money from. There's certain things they can't do while holding office. Yeah,
I mean, you can't use state resources to conduct your own personal business.
Lori Swanson is facing allegations of using AG staff for her campaign.
Yeah, she is, and so is Representative Omar.
So these are formally brought up by Steve Drazkowski?
Yes.
Okay.
Acceptance of payments from state colleges for serving as a keynote speaker, which is a violation of Minnesota House rules. The Minnesota State Colleges and Universities system provided contracts and email correspondence between Minshew and Rep. Omar.
By the way, you have to love Democrats complaining about the high cost of college and then taking fees to go speak somewhere at a college.
Right. Yeah.
Absurd.
She also accepted a payment of $250 for appearing on a panel at Minnesota State University, Mankato, back in February. Now, $250 doesn't seem like a lot of money, but either you're following the rules or you're not. It really doesn't matter what the payment was. What matters is, did you follow the law or did you not follow the law?
No question.
Absolutely. But that's not it. I mean, that is some of what's going on. She was fined $1,000 due to the late filing of her 24-hour notice reports for her campaign finance reports. That was back in 2017. Also, she was fined $150 due to the late filing of her campaign finance report. back on November 30th, which was after the May 17th $1,000. Then on June 20th, 2018, she was fined the maximum $1,100 due to the late filing of her statement of economic interest.
Well, not following the rules is kind of a habit
Yeah.
for Miss Omar.
Is it? Do you have more information?
I do. And I want to say something flat out. I tried to contact their campaign. I screenshotted this and sent this to her communications person, her campaign manager, her volunteer people, and I asked if they would verify that this was Miss Omar here who got these violations. She has, in the criminal traffic petty case records search here, this is at courts.state.mn.us.
Mm-hmm.
She has had 19
Oh, goodness.
in the past, let's see, since 2009.
18.
She has had 19 citations.
Wow.
It lists her birthday, which I still can't confirm, by the way. October 4th, 1982. Now, that fits her age, but it's strange that I can't confirm her birth date because, I mean, you have to prove you're 25 to run for the U.S. House.
Right.
But she has gotten citations for, she doesn't know how to park. I'll just put it that way. You'd think after 10 or so you'd figure it out, but she stop sign violations, driving without insurance, parking in a no parking, snow emergencies, overstaying meters, which is, in fact, she got between October 22nd and 2015. In fact, her most recent one was July 9th, 2018. Parking in a no parking zone. From 10/22/2015 to 10/13/2016. So about a year.
Wow. Now, it also...
She got 13 violations in a year.
Wow. But, I mean, there's speeding, no Minnesota driver's license, and when was that one? She should have had a Minnesota driver's license in 2012, shouldn't she have?
Illegal turns.
How about, and I don't know that she didn't have insurance, I'm not saying that, but it says here, driver must carry proof of insurance when operating vehicle. Vehicle registration required. I mean, and that's in 2016. That's 2 years ago.
Well, don't you think, Jay? I mean, look, it's one thing to get a speeding ticket. It's one thing to have 3 things in 30 years is one thing.
Yeah.
To have 13 in a calendar year.
13 in a calendar year. And
again, these are the same people who, oh, you can't drive your car. You need to beware of the bikers.
Apparently she can't drive her car.
Does she know how to follow directions? I mean, this is a person who wants to go to Congress and make laws.
Right.
And expects the rest of them to follow them, and she doesn't follow them.
Yeah, she doesn't, and she was... she has all of these laundry list of infractions that are continuing. I mean, even through 2017, I mean, she was paid $2,000 to serve as a keynote speaker at Normandale Community College, and she was paid $500 to serve as a keynote speaker at Inver Hills Community College. And both of those are violations of Minnesota House Rule 9.20. So what we have here is a pattern. I mean, this isn't an infraction here, an infraction there. Oh, I didn't understand. Maybe I was distracted that day or what have you.
Again,
I was in a bad frame of mind. No, this is laundry list of infraction after infraction after infraction. It's in her vehicle. It's as a representative. She does not follow the law. And
There's a total blatant disregard for it.
Yeah, if someone wants to make law but has a total disregard for it, I mean, what does that say when we're sending someone to go make law that abhors it?
Well, I'd like to know, what are the standards anymore for, here's another thing. How does this woman get to Congress? I mean, she has authored 38 bills in the House. She's been there for 2 years.
Okay.
After ousting Phyllis Khan in the Riverside district, which is Somali heavy, and not one of them's become law.
Well,
which is a good thing for
Yeah.
the state. But how does she get catapulted after 2 years in office with literally nothing to show for it? How does she get catapulted into a race for Congress?
that's a great question. Obviously there had to have been talk behind the scenes in the DFL that Keith Ellison was going to go and run for the AG spot, so they needed somebody.
It began with Lori Swanson losing the endorsement, and this guy who won, Matt Pelican or something, who got like 5% of the vote, or he was not backed by the party that endorsed him.
Right.
And then there was, all of a sudden, there was no endorsement for governor, and there was clearly 7 to 10. There was about 2 weeks there, or something, or a week before the filing ended. I can't remember the time frame, but it was at least. Maybe it wasn't that long. 5 days, maybe. There must have been something cooking in the background. Okay, if this scenario happens, this person's going to jump in. If this scenario happens, this person's. I'm sure Lori Swanson had thrown out hints that if she didn't become Attorney General again, she all of a sudden appeared at a press conference the next day with Rick Nolan. You think that just happened? You think she made a phone call and that just happened? No, this was orchestrated to a certain extent.
But this is a pretty huge debacle. I mean, a failure on the part of the DFL. And when you look at it, they lost Rick Nolan out of the 8th, who now that district is probably going to go Republican.
Probably.
You lose, I don't know, Keith Ellison out of the 5th, who is I don't agree with just about anything he's ever said, but he's got a lot of power, and he's really risen through the ranks in the Democrat Party, and carries some weight in Washington. He's out of Washington, with all of this stuff surrounding him, and I don't know how he plays in Greater Minnesota, really. They could lose the AG race to Doug Wardlow.
It could happen.
It could.
If there's a time that it's going to happen, it's this year.
Yeah. So
I think as the Democrats get more radical, this
Yeah.
is where they're going, they're going to have problems with this. Now, I'm not done with Omar.
Okay.
Because there's been the stories about her marriage out there.
I have not heard those.
Her double marriage or something like that.
Double marriage.
Yeah. Interesting thing that her. I don't want to get into too many specifics because it's hard to separate. Her campaign won't touch it, won't talk about it. Media won't investigate it. So it's, again, the typical. I mean, she's from Somalia, which is war-torn country, and came over here later, and all of that. But there is some talk about, that she was married to her brother, or arranged a marriage. I think it was immigration fraud.
Where did you see this?
Well, this has been out there for a few years. When she beat Phyllis Khan, this came out there. I'm reading something at cityjournal.org.
Okay.
Which you can find this in a lot of places. I don't know what the truth is, but she's added to the controversy here by not really clarifying. If there's an answer, fine. But she came here, I want to say, in the late 90s. That's when she made her way. She was maybe she'd be in her late teens at that time. But she has a few kids with a man that she was married to, or I'm not really sure what was going on there. Then she married somebody else in 2009. And there's some questions whether that was dissolved legally or whatever. Now she's back with the guy that she was with beforehand. That's the father of her kids.
Did she get the other marriage annulled or a divorce? Or
that's again where it's sketchy.
I don't know if they do annulments in Islam. Because from what I understand, you do not have kids out of wedlock in Islam. You don't do it, especially if you're a woman. You don't do it. I
know she has 3 kids.
Understand if you're a woman, you don't have the right to divorce your husband, except maybe under some very extreme circumstances. So,
well, this is what I can pretty much confirm. Okay. She was engaged to be married to a man named Ahmed Hirsi. Hirsi. I don't know how to pronounce Hirsi.
Yeah.
Hirsi.
Ahmed Hirsi.
Yeah. Again, I apologize for not knowing how to pronounce it, but they separated, quote unquote, in 2008. Apparently, the application for a marriage license was not finalized. 2009. Omar married Ahmed Nur Said Elmi, who was a British citizen.
Okay.
There's speculation on who he is exactly. In 2011, they had a faith-based divorce, whatever.
Okay, so
that must
maybe
be part of Islam religion. I don't know.
Right? Yeah, and it would have to meet standards of Sharia law or whatever. And
but here's the thing though. In 2017 is when they became legally divorced, and in 2011 she had reconciled with the previous person. So I don't know. It's sketchy as to what. And like I said, the only thing I can think of in my mind, if I had to have an answer, is this is some sort of immigration deal. That this is some sort of
yes and no. Remember, in Islam they practice Sharia law. It is separate from American law because we have not adopted it.
True.
Yet.
However, there's a legal process in the United States to getting married and divorced, no matter what your religion is.
They go to an imam and they get the divorce, and then it takes a while for the court proceedings and whatever to go through then and make it government recognized. Right. Now, where I am on government marriage, that's a whole different conversation, and I don't think they should be involved. But
it's a legal contract is technically what a marriage is. But I'm with you. I have mixed feelings on not, and I don't want to get into it. But I mean, her statements.
Yeah.
This is her first statement on it, that this was the Trump-style racism, anti-immigration rhetoric, and Islamophobic division. That was her defense to the story.
Okay.
The following day, different tune came out. This is right after she beat Phyllis Khan, so people were finally digging into who she was. And this is where she married the first husband in an Islamic ceremony, but never executed a license with the state. So again,
right, an imam married them under Sharia law. They never got it done the right way as far as what we would require here in Minnesota.
Right. And so then there was the other guy. Apparently he returned to the United Kingdom, but that marriage was never dissolved. So there's a lot of questions as to what's going on exactly. And, her campaign spokesperson at the time, Michael Howard, I don't know that he still is, declared that the statement she made will be her last word on the matter, won't address it again. I don't know what right she has to tell us that we can't investigate or ask questions, but I mean, there is a lot of, and like I said, she's added fuel to the fire here. She's made this a victimology thing, a race thing, and I admit I don't understand the cultures as well either, but there is a legal angle to it, and there's, if you want to call it, a cultural angle to it. So it is up in question as to what all this means here.
Right.
So, I mean, there's your new congressperson in CD5, folks.
Well,
I mean, she's
let's.
going to win.
I don't see how she won't. It's kind of like saying the sun is going to rise tomorrow. That Democrat will win the CD5.
The way it's rigged, I'll call it rigged. You know, the way the district is drawn, I don't see how it changes. But that's just me.
Right. Well, yeah, I got that to look forward to. Hopefully, she is in the minority.
And she will be.
I hope so. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, enough about that. Enough about our wonderful representation.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Boy. But, I mean, that is local news as well. Yeah, it's people that, are going to or coming from Washington. But, these are people that are supposedly, like, part of our communities that they run every 2 years for the House of Representatives, and it's supposed
Rose
to
up
be
from somewhere.
it's supposed to be the House of the people because they come from our neighborhoods. It's not like a big 6-year term where you never see them. Supposedly they're back here all the time. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this. It's a mess.
It is a mess, and so's the city of New Hope, Minnesota.
Yes, and really, I don't know if we want to call the last part like a reverse local lowdown, or if we want to call this main event here the local lowdown. But New Hope is a mess.
Let's get ready to rumble. New Hope is not only a mess, and when I say mess, look. There's a category called people I disagree with. There's a category called people I disagree with and just cannot fathom how they hold an elected office. Then there's a category of people I disagree with who not only can I not believe hold elected office, but can I not believe people are not running down to City Hall with, pitchforks and stuff, throwing the bums out.
Yeah.
And the city of New Hope is not only at that category, but it's probably like 50 miles past that category. Now, I don't know. Jay, look, I mean, we've done a lot of dumping on that city. I've been dumping them on our blog since 2010. Okay,
right.
So and you have too. So I mean, it's New Hope. We've done shows on them. We did a show about last year around this time about their budget. We thought this was bad.
Yeah.
But their budget for proposal for 2019 may be the worst budget I have ever eyewitnessed. Now, you and I...
That's probably true.
You and I have been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
And I've seen 2%, 3%, 4%. I've lived through it. I've paid it. Okay? I've seen franchise fees. I've seen water bills. I've seen bonds. I've seen street reconstruction.
TIF districts.
You just lived through yours a couple years ago. I mean, I've seen all of this stuff. I'm not sure I've seen anything that cumulatively is this bad. And in a way, it's also humorous.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. These leaders in New Hope are so arrogant and they're so unchallenged that it is obvious that they are not afraid of the people there.
Absolutely not.
They're not scared that they're going to... Now, if I'm running a New Hope, my lit piece... Okay, is just the tax in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And I just repeat that at every door.
Yeah.
That's I'll just since nobody's running, I'll just tell you the strategy. Okay? I mean, I'll tell it to you for free. And Jay, you and I don't do anything for free outside of this podcast. But I mean, I'm going to tell you what you can do to win if you try in New Hope.
It's like shooting fish in a barrel.
It's like eating candy on Halloween. It's the easiest. These people should be thrown so far out of office that they forget the address of City Hall. That's how far they should be thrown. Yeah. I don't care. You people, you New Hope City Council, you can listen. You little twerps can pound your desk and complain at me all you want. Let me tell you something.
And they have.
They definitely have. And let me tell you, I don't care because what you don't like is that we're the only people who come out and tell us like it is. And give you the truth here, not the BS you'll read in the local paper or the garbage on their website or the nonsense you'll hear from their city staff that get whatever they want. Whatever they want, they get. And the taxpayers have sat there and grabbed their ankles enough in this city. Now,
apparently they haven't.
I guess they haven't. But
but before you get into numbers, I just want to say,
do we want to get? We have to get into the numbers.
We do have to get into the numbers because you guys won't believe it unless you go read it for yourselves, I think. But we have spoken with people from other cities, people that have been elected to other cities, and they have said, yeah, a lot of the cities in the Twin Cities use New Hope when they're trying to defend their tax increases because they're always so bad that I'm not making this up, am I? I'm not making this up.
Any city that has a large tax increase will have a chart of the proposed budgets of the cities around them.
Yeah. New Hope always gets used.
Yeah, or they'll cherry pick the 5 worst ones. Because, look, preliminary levies, it's all available at the county website because they're the tax collector.
Mm-hmm.
So you can find any of this information at Hennepin County's website because they do the assessing, they do the collecting, and all that stuff, and that's who cities have to submit this to. Is the counties. Then they mail out your preliminary levy in November and your final one in March of the it'd be 2019 this year. So, what you're getting in New Hope, my friends, and I tell you what, you're getting what you elected or whatever you want to call it, and I don't even know if you elected these people.
Yeah, well, when nobody else runs, I guess it's not. I guess technically you're electing them, but it's kind of a la Venezuela style. You got one person running.
Or 2 in this case.
Well,
2, but there's
the top 2 out of 2 people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
that's fantastic. And let's just preface this by in 2017, the general fund budget was $13,565,476 and included a $700,176 levy increase or 7.29 levy increase over the 2016 budget. In 2018, the general fund budget was $13,737,762.
$13 million.
Sorry, $13 million. That's not a dot there. That's a comma, folks. $13,737,762 and included a $432,152 levy increase or 4.32 levy increase over the 2017 budget of $13 million plus. So taking 2017, 2018, they raised taxes 11.5%.
And actually, that's not the whole story, though.
Right. Oh, and in 2016, I didn't put that, but it's there as well. There was an increase of 7.66% in the levy.
And just remember, that's not the whole story, though.
Oh, right. That's only the levy.
Remember, they doubled the franchise fee about 2 years ago. And they've got this project. They've used TIF money for that place over by the golf course. They did. Luxury apartment buildings, right across the street from apartment buildings that look like from South Chicago.
That's overdoing it.
Yeah, probably just a tad. So there's so the idea again that. That's all there. Last year, they had a 5% increase in their water and sewer
Yeah.
fund. They're asking for another 5% in 2000. Now, remember, that's not part of the levy.
Well, there is a whole lot of waste over in New Hope, so an increase in
yeah.
the sewer fund might be appropriate.
No kidding. So, I mean, that's another thing. They've got a street lighting thing that they're increasing for as well. So that's in addition to everything that...
Yeah, I mean, the new police station with the swimming pool and all that is a ton of money, and that's
right. But remember,
a bond of $25 million. It's,
and remember, the debt service on that is being used as the excuse.
Right. Yeah, the principal is $25 million on the bond for that project. The interest is over and above that.
The interest is way over and beyond that. I mean, you're looking at a $25 million project that'll cost $35 million.
Yep.
You know, and I mean, in Mark Hoffman's world, you know, that's still only a $25 million project. You know, it's kind of like you buy a $15,000 car and you pay $18,000 for it. Well, that's what you paid. That's what it costs.
Yep.
Okay, not this.
You're still paying it.
Yeah, not this nonsense that you know, it doesn't count if you only paid a certain amount.
Yeah.
Now I want to get into this. I got to find the page here, Jay. I'm a little behind you.
Yeah.
My phone is kind of acting up here, but of where it talks about the proposed levy increase for this year.
Yes.
In percent. Okay. The proposed levy increase. Jay,
can we tell people where to find this first, in case they want to play along at home?
Absolutely, because like Herb Carneal used to say, in case you're scoring at home.
Yes. It is not terribly easy to find. You go to New Hope's website, which is ci.new-hope.mn.us, and go to government. Click on finance, then you go to the budget documents, and then you have to click on the 2019 proposed budget. So,
and it's this 132-page document here. We're not going to bore you with you know.
Yeah. So why don't you tell the listeners, what page you're looking at here?
Okay, this would be page 6. At the top. However, it's page 3 of the document.
Yeah.
That makes it. This is why I had a hard time finding it.
Well, yeah. They number the pages differently because they don't number the title page and stuff like that. But the PDF document itself does number that, so that's why there's a difference. But
Okay. Now this is where the numbers get screwy. Their general fund the tax levy for the general fund is going up about $500,000. Okay. Which in and of itself is nearly a 5% increase. The total tax levy, which is general fund, remember they don't assess. Okay. So this is EDA, debt service, all of their stuff is going up to 18.99%.
What?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So So that is and again the bonds and the debt service is largely what is behind that.
Right. I think they say about 13.24% is for the police station / city hall bonds. Well, what did we tell you when we reported on that issue alone? I mean, they had gone up from 20 million to 25 million the bonds had at that time, and that's the principal, not the interest.
Yeah.
Look. You guys are getting an increase in taxes of 13.24% just based on those alone.
Absolutely. Now, it gets worse.
Oh.
Here's my favorite part of this. If you go to the next page, which would be page, again, I don't want to bore you with running the numbers. You guys can read the numbers here. Of course, it's not the simplest thing to understand, but we're telling you the basics here, which you need to know. 2019 goal priorities. Now, this is a city that is proposing a 5% increase in water and sewage. That just doubled the franchise fee. That's proposing a 19% tax increase. And what's goal number one? Hold the line on spending. Yeah, but you see a city not afraid to just put that in black and white and just say, yeah, that's our goal. Hold the line. Now, here's goal number 2. Now, remember, this is a 19% increase in property taxes. Here's goal number 2. Keep the tax levy as low as possible.
Well, of course, you keep the general fund tax levy low, the property tax increases low. Nobody recognizes what you're doing. And we've talked about this a billion times.
About the fuzzy math.
Hidden taxes where they will tax the daylights out of you with bonds, with TIF districts, with all of these other mechanisms that they have. And,
permits, franchise fees, water and sewer, so on and so forth.
And then your general budget only raised 2%. It's the biggest shell game on earth, folks. And if you think that your city is, we're only going up a little bit, and I can understand that with increases in what we need to pay employees and their benefits and stuff. Yeah, but yet these big luxury condominiums are being built all over the city. Yet they're reconstructing. Name me an intersection in this town that was not shut down for most of the summer. It was like
we went through this in New Hope not that long ago. Winnetka and Boone were shut down the same summer back in 2013. I remember because I was working in New Hope and I couldn't get living in Crystal. It took a half an hour to get home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ridiculous.
Here's goal number 3.
Okay.
Implement a 5% annual increase in street and parking infrastructure.
Oh.
Annual.
Yeah.
Meaning if you're paying $100, a 5% increase, then which would be $105. Then the next year it's a 5% increase on that.
Huh.
And the next year, up to 111. Then it's a 5% increase on that.
Right.
So a 5% implement they're not going to debate. This is going to end up in the consent agenda. This is going to end up in the budget every year here on out.
Yes, it will.
And that's their idea of holding the line on spending.
Yeah, they want to increase. I mean, to put some numbers behind this, that's $100,000 for the park infrastructure levy, and the staff is recommending another $100,000 increase in the EDA levy to help fund the scattered site housing program. That's $200,000 additional in taxes that you were not paying before.
Yes, and they want to implement green stuff. Well, I thought that stuff was free, Jay.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Isn't that free money?
It's free and voluntary. Unless I think they are level 4, which means, or they're trying to move into level 4, which isn't just. And as we found out in an early article, it's not just this fuzzy feel-good stuff. You are putting real dollars down to put in a tracking system to be able to monitor the amount of CO2 emissions, and you have to hold the line on those. You cannot emit more than a certain amount. And what did the Sun Post had an article saying that it was going to be 1,000 hours of employee time? That it wasn't cheap.
Well, no, of course it's not. I mean, when is it? I mean, the employee time, you're paying the employees anyway, but you've got to prioritize what they're doing. And let me be more specific, too, on the sanitary, sewer, stormwater, and water things. The sanitary sewer, council approved a 7.5% rate increase in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
A 7.5% increase is recommended for 2019. In their water fund, had a 5% increase in 2018, and a proposed 5% increase in 2019. These stormwater, these are all separate funds.
Right.
It might sound like the same thing, but they all are separated.
Yes, they are.
let me see. I think it's on the next page here. Hold on. So this is stormwater. Had a 5% increase in 2018. Now a 5% increase in 2019. Street and lighting, a 5% increase in 2018, 5% increase in 2019. The golf budget. Ooh, how's that doing? Don't even want to look.
I wonder now.
But you've got the golf course, you got the ice arena, you got other things that they're subsidizing on top of us. So just think 7%, 5%, 5%, 5%.
Mm-hmm.
You add that to a 19% increase on the levy.
19.88. I mean, it's almost a 20%. Or sorry, no, it's 18.99.
Yeah.
So I'm dyslexic today. It doesn't matter when you get that high. It's like might as well be 100%.
I know. Why not? It's like a minimum wage debate. Man, just make it $100 an hour.
Yeah.
Everybody's rich then. I mean, of course, your $100 will,
In this case, everybody's poor.
Yeah. well, the kings here aren't poor, but everybody else is. This is crazy.
Yeah, I can't even believe my eyes and my ears.
They're getting more bold and brazen, Jay. I'm telling you, they're doing this because they can get away with it. They're doing this once they saw nobody else was running here.
Mm-hmm.
They decided to go for the jugular, and you're gonna get 2 more years of this.
Yeah. Well, hope you might get 50 more years of this, But that's the thing. I mean, there are a lot of cities out there in the metro that are like this, where people run unopposed all the time, and sometimes that's for a decent reason, but other times it's not. And I don't understand it in cases like this where the taxes go up and up and up, and not just eking up. I mean, like by leaps and bounds every year.
I don't understand when they tried to organize the garbage hauling. Mm-hmm. And that's probably the only time I've seen City Hall at New Hope full.
Yeah.
How does not one of the... And they were good, passionate speakers. There were a lot of longtime residents. There were people of all ages. And the room was very much against it.
Yeah.
And, of course, they backed off of that. But, the council wants to do it. They're just waiting for the chance to do it. Probably thinking a couple people from there were going to run for the city council.
Right.
Now that nobody's run, how do none of those people run?
I don't understand.
How does not one person?
I mean, that's almost akin to our County Road 81 issue. I mean, we had City Hall full, and we found people out of there and out of that process to run for city council. How do they not have one? Nobody rises up and wants to do what we do. Nobody rises up and wants to run. Nobody wants to get involved. But it's not just there. I mean, it's all over the place. I mean, taxes keep going up and up and up and up. Organized garbage hauling. It happens in places that are a lot more red, like Cottage Grove. Every garbage can out in Cottage Grove has the same company printed on it.
Yeah, it's not just in communist cities.
But
it's true.
Where are the people? It's...
Well, unfortunately, like we've talked about, too, a lot of times the process is so far down the line that, by the time the public gets wind of something, it's already been agreed on that it's going to happen.
Right.
I mean, that's no excuse not to get involved or do anything or join a commission, or maybe you're not ready to run for the council or whatever. But, I mean, I just can't believe there's no letters to the editor. There's no... These people running New Hope are not scared of the people living there. And I'm not saying they should be scared, but they should be... They're supposed to represent the folks, not represent city staff, not represent, the special, the League of Minnesota Cities and all these other places. And unfortunately, what's happened is, I mean, the city of New Hope's been hijacked. There's no other way to say it.
Right.
I mean, they're completely. It feels like I can see how it looks like you're powerless to change something. And I felt that way in Crystal at one time, and I don't feel that way anymore.
No.
And I'm telling you that what's happening in New Hope is unacceptable. At any level is unacceptable. And how these people can keep running and not have opponents, I can't understand it. I just can't. I mean, if I lived in New Hope, I'd dream of parachuting in and I won't say what I think I'd be doing, but I mean, I would be yelling and screaming. I'd give them what we call a Crystal treatment.
Yeah.
I'd be putting everything they say and stuff. I mean, I guess nothing stops me from doing it, but I'll live there.
Really have
Somebody
a vested
has to pick
interest,
up the ball. I have a vested interest if New Hope's going to be used by other cities as a standard for tax increases.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a vested interest because, I mean, we're here for Minnesota. I mean, we love Minnesota, and we want to see Minnesota fixed at the local level. And it boggles my mind, I mean, we would get this passionate about any of the 853 cities. We don't have time to sit and write letters to the editor for 853 cities, and that's why we need people to do it.
And it doesn't have the impact when we don't live there.
Right.
I mean, ultimately, this has to come from within.
Absolutely. But I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we are here to help the state, to build a team of people that are willing to govern in a common sense manner in these local nonpartisan races. And 853 cities, 1,100 townships. It's a lot. All the counties, all the school districts. It's a lot, and we can't get in and do all of the work in those places, and we can't be the ones to be pushing the efforts. We're here to guide. We're here to give advice. We're here to give strategy, to create ways for you to be able to engage with your city council, your school district, county, township, whatever, in a way that is going to make a difference. We are here as a resource. We're not here to do it all.
Well, and I agree with that, but in New Hope, if you ever want to run in New Hope, we already have your lit piece made. All you got to put is your website and your name on it.
Yep.
It shouldn't be any harder than that. I mean, the amount of debt they have, they're out of control. They're crazy over there. That city hall's as effed up as any that I've seen. I mean, I remember coming to Crystal City Council meetings complaining about 2.5% increases.
Yeah.
And you're looking at 19% plus all the other stuff that we mentioned.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you might as well just send all your money to them and see if they'll give any back to you. You just might as well do that. And I don't understand. Here's the other thing, too. You're raising property taxes to the point where it's harder and harder to live there. It's harder to buy a house. It's harder on everybody.
Yeah.
And you just wait till we have another recession. I'm not saying it's coming.
Well, it's inevitable.
Oh, it's inevitable. A downturn will happen at some point. Houses can't keep.
No, I mean we're way overdue.
Yeah,
for a downturn.
Well, we are, but to me, I don't think we've had an. Every 10 years is kind of when we average a recession, but I don't think we were out of the last one till 12 or 13 to me.
No.
And second term of Obama's growth was pretty anemic, and we've had a lot more growth since in the last, since President Trump took office, and since the tax cuts, we've seen more growth in 18 than we have since like 2006.
Yeah.
But the last one was really bad. And I don't know that we're in for that. I think we're in for one at some point just simply because of the increases in government spending and because the housing market at some point is going to go through a correction.
Yeah, it will. And I think there's some real danger with defaults on student loans. I think that
trade policy might have some consequences.
Could, yeah.
I mean, there's always winners and losers. Now, I know you and I don't quite see eye to eye on trade, but I mean, there's always winners and losers in a trade deal.
Right.
So free trade has had its consequences. Tariffs have their consequences too. They can be too high. They can, ultimately customers need to have freedom of choice.
Right.
So you shouldn't take away that freedom. So there's a lot at play there.
If the Fed raises interest rates enough, it's going to run away on us.
I'm surprised that hasn't happened, to be honest. They're always behind the ball, though.
Yeah.
Feds are always behind the ball. They're always behind lowering, and they're always behind raising. So they're very reactionary. So I guess that doesn't surprise me, but they're not going to stay at the rate they're at forever and ever and ever. That's silly.
Well,
I mean, the only thing I know for sure is that things will change. So maybe the tax cuts have prolonged stuff too. That people have more money to spend is going to keep people employed and things like that. So tax cuts might have come at like the perfect time to extend something.
Yeah, it's possible.
So we'll see. We'll see. But I mean, if you look back at the last 40 some odd years, I mean, we had the old stagflation under old Jimmy Carter and a little bit of a reversal in very early in President Reagan's term. Then you had 10 years later to the 91 recession. Then you go 10 years later to the dot-com 9/11 recession. Then you go about 8 years later to the 08, 09, 10, whatever you want to call it. Now we're getting close to 10 years later. I mean, but I think it was a slow recovery. But you have to think that my worry, too, is that government's going to try to overmanage it.
Right.
Oh, something's down. We have to take action instead of saying, wait a minute, let the free market do its thing, and maybe you won't get that.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It's hard to say.
Anywho,
New
hope. You got no hope.
Yeah.
In fact, you don't got no hope. You ain't got no hope. There just ain't none.
That's true.
I wouldn't live there for free, and of course I couldn't anyway.
Right.
With taxes they have.
Oh boy, you'd still be going backwards.
Crazy town.
Yeah. So this is happening all over the state. I mean, maybe not 18.99.
No, it's 17.5 or something.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's going to be the preliminary levy.
Oh, yeah.
They might lower it to like 18.47 or something by December.
Well, yeah, keep in mind, I mean, that 13 plus is for the police station and city hall. That will not be reduced because they're building it.
Yeah.
That's a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, that debt service will be there for 20 years.
Yep. So enjoy all that.
Yeah, good job saving the money there, New Hope, too.
But if you're in another city that's not spending as much as New Hope, and maybe you see on your little chart there on your city puts out comparing what they raised it to New Hope, it makes it not look so bad, but it's still bad because it's going up and you're feeling it. You would sure like to pay less. You need to get on an advisory commission. You need to think about running for city council, county commission, school board, anybody that has taxing authority. Think about getting involved in those things because that's the only way we can begin to curb the increases and roll them back. So if you're interested in that at all, in joining Team 20K, you can email us at commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. That's commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. We would love to talk to you. We'd love to put your stories on our podcast or our blog. We're doing as much as we can there to get the stories out to you that matter the most here in Minnesota at the local level. Nobody else does what we do. Nobody tells the tale of what's really going on at the local level. Nobody is giving strategy to people running it at the city, the county level, on how to run a competitive campaign, how to get on an advisory commission. So we don't bite. Come on, talk to us. share our stuff out on social media, because and rate this podcast, because that's how you can get the word out to more people. How to get us, our voices, these stories out to the world. So with that, we have done all that we can do, but we'll be back in another week. And we love you, Minnesota. Now it's your turn to get to work.